Kanye West and Dr. Dre had a potential classic album on their hands, and the crazy part is, you may never hear it. Now, when we look at the many different eras throughout the one-of-a-kind career of Kanye West, fans almost unanimously consider his 2019 album Jesus is King to be his weakest. With its transformation from the once promising Yandhi into the stripped-down album we got that felt so hollow and empty compared to what it could have been, Jesus is King did not offer the same spectacle all other Kanye albums had, and it became one of the most disappointing records of the late 2010s for that reason. Now, while Jesus is King was received pretty poorly by fans, one day in 2020, Kanye tweeted that he and Dr. Dre were working on a Jesus is King Part 2, and everybody freaked out. Despite Jesus is King's relatively weak reception for a Ye project, once people saw Dr. Dre was on board for this record, nobody had any worries about why they were working on a sequel to what was seen as Kanye's worst album. The prospect of the premier producers of generations past and present coming together to release an album was mind-boggling, and as they developed the album further and further, the potential of this sequel was like nothing else we have ever seen before in the music world. Jesus is King 2 was not just a follow-up to Kanye's 2019 album, but it was a reimagining of the entire record, as Kanye knew he could have done so much more with it. This was Ye's chance to really hone in on making that legendary gospel rap album that he always wanted to deliver, and making things even better, he was doing it with arguably the most important creative mind in hip-hop right by his side. What made Jesus is King 2 even more of a unique experience was the fact that in music, artists really never get do-overs with their projects. Unlike the film industry where you see alternative cuts and remasters released pretty often, an artist going back to a record to rework it in the way they truly desired has really never happened, especially in this capacity. Now, as Kanye and Dr. Dre continued to work on Jesus is King 2, the hype just kept building up. With this pair of moguls putting together their creative genius, the possibilities were endless for how special this album could truly be. After finding out names like Eminem were even joining in on the action as he had a verse on the new version of Use This Gospel, it only heightened the expectations more and more. So with all of the rumors swirling around about how groundbreaking the Dr. Dre and Kanye West hip-hop gospel album will sound like, I think I speak for everybody when I say this was one of the most anticipated projects rumored to release at the time, but eventually, the album suffered the same fate as many other potential Kanye West classics, as it was never released. As time went on and Kanye announced an entirely new album with the original version of Donda set to drop in the summer of 2020, Jesus is King 2 just became another one of Kanye's many albums that were lost to the vault. The only track we ever got to hear from this thing was Eminem's version of Use This Gospel, and despite how good the track could have been, it ended up finding its way onto DJ Khaled's God Did, and once you hear Khaled's annoying yelling all over it, it really just felt like a slap in the face at this point. Now, after over 3 years of Jesus is King 2 being just a shard of the past, another album that we will never get from the vault of Kanye West, it somehow found its way online, and after finally hearing what Kanye and Dr. Dre were cooking up, it's safe to say that we truly missed out on a once-in-a-lifetime musical experience. Jesus is King 2 is truly the version of the album that we always needed. The album fuses together gospel and hip-hop in such an organic way, and it really embodies the spiritual aspect Kanye built this entire project around, while also advancing the scope of what hip-hop production can sound like. The album's core identity around faith is kept intact, but Kanye's performances are built on in vast and powerful manners. From him fleshing out and even rewriting verses to features echoing the record's core themes, what Kanye was able to bring together the second time around on this album was quite beautiful. Now, speaking of features, if you're a Ye fan, you know how important guest verses are to the grandiose feel of Kanye's albums, and this is an aspect of Jesus is King 2 that's world class. This album features performances from Eminem, Travis Scott, Pusha T, Anderson .Paak, Snoop Dogg, A$AP Ferg, Dr. Dre himself in the booth, and more. Now, while the features make the album go from just feeling like a collection of songs to a definitive cultural moment, the aspect that builds Jesus is King 2 into a once-in-a-lifetime experience is the production done between Dre and Ye. The way these two were able to combine the conventions of hip-hop production with gospel music is quite surreal. Kanye and Dr. Dre test the limits of the musical spectrum that we understand as they find the balance between the flashiness and the excitement of hip-hop production and the soulful soulfulness that drives gospel music to feel so compelling and emotionally resonant. Where the original version of Jesus is King felt empty is Kanye never was able to birth these two different sounds into a unified style. This album thrives because of how they push these two art forms together. With songs that offer the thrill of a hip-hop record but the spirit of gospel music, this album is able to make the impact Kanye always intended, and it's absolutely beautiful to witness. So overall, when it comes to the 15 tracks Kanye West and Dr. Dre put together for Jesus is King 2, they absolutely nailed it all. These two didn't just manage to complete the vision that Kanye had for the record when he first made it, but they went above and beyond, putting their hearts and souls into some of the most beautiful music of their respective careers, and that is saying a lot. So when we look at Jesus is King 2, when we see Kanye West and Dr. Dre built an entire album that, from what people have heard, is about 99% complete and filled with so many beautiful moments, the question we all are asking is, why did they not officially release this album? How could two of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time just sit on a potential classic that could have impacted so many people in a positive way? It's absolutely devastating that this album never got a commercial release, but I guess that's what we should expect from two artists who are notorious for holding back some of the most anticipated releases in music history. So let me know, what do you think about Jesus is King 2? Do you wish we got this album, and if you have heard it, how good do you think it is compared to other Kanye projects? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you hope to get more Kanye and Dre collabs in the future, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and it is free to do. Mr. F, Fantastic Hip Hop, signing out. Catch you in the next video.